Hello, this is the first post I've ever put up on emotional freedom technique, and I don't know why, because it's something I've been a master practitioner of for about 10 years. But I just thought actually Instagram and social media is actually a good platform to showcase some of the stuff that it's capable of doing, and it's easy to follow along, completely safe, very effective. So the first question is, what the hell is EFT, emotional freedom technique? Sounds very ominous, or it's sometimes better known as tapping. The idea from the Eastern standpoint is that all emotions and all illnesses are a stagnation, a blockage, or slow movement of energy throughout the body system. It's that simple. So think of a river or a motorway. Let's use a motorway. It's a slow transition of traffic through there, or a blockage, there's a car crash, and you're getting a backup of traffic, and you're getting a backup or sluggish movement of energy throughout the body. Now, that is something that the Chinese have used for acupuncture for thousands and thousands of years, but it also applies to emotions. So you might think, well, hold on a second, what? But if you think about it rationally, an emotion is something that actually has a physiological effect. If something I say makes you laugh, your diaphragm's moving involuntarily, you're getting a surge of feel-good hormones, your eyes may dilate, you may get a decrease in blood pressure. If I say something that makes you angry, your eyes will, then your eyes will contract, the pupils will contract, and you will have blood going to the extremities, the adrenals will produce more cortisol and stress hormone. Well, what's happened? All that's happened is a thought has created an emotion, which has created a physiological response. So, for example, look at blushing. You're embarrassed. You go a perfusion of blood to the surface area, to the surface cells, and next thing you've gone red. So, hopefully that clearly demonstrates that our mental state has a direct impact on our physiological. But it gets deeper. Imagine if you had substantial trauma. So we're just talking about something cursory. Somebody says something, you go bright red. That's a momentary thing. Within a few minutes, you forget it. Somebody says something horrible. You go through an extreme trauma in your life. You have very, very deep limiting beliefs. All of these things can have a really negative impact on you long term, and they lock into the physical structure. So you actually are physically carrying these things around. So a lot of yogis will talk about, for example, the hip flexor as being a kind of fight or flight. I'm bracing for impact. I'm standing my ground muscle that kind of gets chronically tight. And all of these things will have an impact on your body. So rather than, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this as the introduction to EFT. So hopefully whet your appetite for what it involves and what techniques can be used. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to explain it in a Western perspective, because it's all well and good talking about meridian points and acupressure points. How does it work if you want to be scientific about it? Well, what they've done is analysis on the effects of emotional freedom technique have shown that tapping on these specific acupressure points, like the 100 meeting point, it's one of the most sacred points in acupressure, gallbladder point, etc. All of these points have a very, very relaxing effect on the amygdala. Now, if you're a Star Wars fan, it's not Amidala, she was the princess, it's amygdala. The amygdala is think of it as the fire, what's the word I'm looking for? Brain's gone blank. The fire sensor in your house, okay, the fire alarm. And basically, smoke detector, that's the one, okay. Took me a while to get there. The smoke detector in your house or flat, and that's the amygdala. Now, you want it to be sensitive to pick up smoke, but you don't want it picking up a bit of burnt toast every day, because then it goes off all the time. So that's a good way of thinking of the amygdala. We sometimes have this proactive fear response. It's hypervigilant. We're getting all the time. No more than now, with all the hysteria coming through from the media. We're getting it all the time. So we're all in a hypervigilant state. And it's really bad. It's really bad for us. We're creating a lot of cortisol, a lot of stress hormone, and not getting rid of it. Okay, so tapping has been shown to work on these bundles of nerve points, that when you're tapping on them, it sends a very calming signal to the amygdala. So it's a form of exposure technique. You're not kind of going, oh, everything's great, everything's wonderful, I'm happy. It's actually saying, no, things are shit. I hate the way I look in the mirror, I put on weight, I'm not, I've got no discipline, I eat badly, I'm lethargic, and it's approaching it, it's going right head on into it. It's not pretend. I'm a big fan of mantras and positive affirmations. Don't get me wrong, I do believe they work, but they take a long time and it takes a lot of discipline. This goes straight for it. It's like, no, this is how I feel bad about myself, and this is why. It's almost like you're talking to yourself as you're tapping. So the effect of this technique is that what it does is it's like getting that tea towel. We've all done it, shaking under the smoke detector, and smoke detector goes off. Okay, and obviously sometimes it's a one hit. You do it once and you suddenly go, my God, that's amazing. So some of the things that might happen are what we call a very, very powerful structural reframe. You suddenly think to yourself, hold on, this thing that I've always thought to myself was a negative about me is actually a positive. This aspect of my personality, I get where I come from. It can be very emotional. Sometimes people have a flashback to something. They have a memory of a trauma or an incident in their childhood that caused these incidences or this limiting belief to occur. Think back to when you were a kid. If somebody was in the playground and went, oh, you're rubbish at football, and you were like, oh, you think? Now, as you get older, you might be more confident. You go, whatever. But at that age, suddenly, we're in a hypnotic state a lot of the time, and we think to ourselves, oh, am I? You get lost in a supermarket. You can't find your parents, and you get a separation trauma. Oh my God, my parents don't love me. Now, these things, they don't have to be a capital T trauma. We've all had them. We've all had a traumatic event in our lives. Some, it might be very, very serious, but everybody's had it. And what I call small t trauma is just something that we perceived as shocking and traumatic, and that's not to do, that doesn't, nobody gets to tell you that it's irrelevant. It's very relevant for you, and why it's relevant is because at that age we are creating structures and thought patterns, and also sorry, my beard's really itchy, I need to shave it. Thought patterns and structures and strategies for life. So if at a young age you go, right, when I am upset, I go into myself and I don't talk to anybody, and that works, then you start to go, oh, that's a strategy that works. Standing your ground, I'm not going to take any crap. But the problem is these strategies are only short term. It's like a boxer who just has a good jab. That's no good. You need to have a lot of different arsenals, and maybe those strategies worked when you were 7 or 8 or 15 or 20. Maybe they just don't work now. Okay, so the beauty about EFT is it allows you to release that. It's completely safe, and I'm going to give some examples of ones. I thought we'd start with something really simple on the next clip that I do, which is falling off track on your weight loss plans. We've all done it, This week for me, suboptimal diet. Fortunately, I got in a big shop recently and I'm back on it now. More fruit, more vegetables in the house. But, we all have it. It's cut yourself some slack, all right? You're not a bad person. You're not a weak person. You're not ill-disciplined. Where do you get those ideas from? Who told you that? A lot of the time, maybe somebody didn't tell you that. Maybe you told yourself that. And this is the interesting thing. We are our own worst critics. Think sometimes about the way you talk to yourself, okay? Think about the way you talk to yourself. Now, imagine somebody else talking to you like that. You'd punch them in the head. You'd be like, who the hell do you think you're talking to? But we do it all the time. We do it all the time. And it's awful, the self-talk. Talk to yourself with more love. Talk to yourself with more compassion. I'm not talking about that in a woo-woo sense. I'm just saying in a very specific, practical sense. You are a unique individual. You are a unique individual. You're a lovable individual. You don't need to do anything or be anything to be loved. Okay? If you want to lose weight, then my suggestion is get happy with who you are first. Then you will start to find those sort of things start falling in place. You think, oh yeah, actually, I crave a bit more movement. Actually, because I love my body, I want to treat it well, so I will eat well. It's not the other way around, okay? Tipping it the other way around, I think, as nutritionists and personal trainers, we're taught the wrong thing. Let's start with acceptance, self-love, feeling good about ourselves, and then work on diet and movement, not the other way around and go, well, when I'm down to, 7 stone, then I'll finally love myself. That could be a long time. Certainly for me it will be, and I think I'll look very ill. Anyway, hopefully that's a clear, at 10 minutes, concise, hardly, introduction to EFT. Hope that whets your appetite for it. I will go through one on fat loss that I've kind of written down and scripted for you guys, that covers a whole gamut of different aspects that might be holding you back, that might just give you a little bit of an indication of things that you can release and get on with in your life. And I look forward to seeing you on my next clip. And like I said, why I haven't posted these before, I don't know, but hey, we're in lockdown, so I've got a bit of time on my hands. Anyway, look after yourselves, guys, and I look forward to seeing you on the next clip. Take care. Bye.